Welcome to Turf Talk Down Under. I'm Stassja, and with me today is Tania, or is it Tania? How do you pronounce it?
Tania.
Tania.
Yeah,
I've been calling you Tania ever since I met you.
that's fine. No worries.
So,
I know who,
pardon?
I know who you mean.
Tania was one of the marshals at the Let Women Speak Auckland event. Kellie-Jay has mentioned you a number of times now as one of the people she credits with pretty much saving her life that day. So tell us about it. What happened on that day for you?
Okay, well, first of all, I was an organizer, and I wasn't really effectively a marshal. Terry and I
Oh
had a
no.
victim, and I did quite early on. And when we got there at the rotunda, Chanel Lau, who's one of the trans activists that was stirring up quite a lot of emotion around the event, he was there, and he came over with a couple of his friends, and Lal himself was quite sulky and wouldn't talk to us, but the other two friends were friendly, polite, smiled at each other. We introduced ourselves. We wished each other a great day. Wished each other the opportunity to talk on our respective platforms. They'd set up some distance away. There were flags and everything already up. And we commenced setting up our place. The rotunda itself was covered in trans propaganda. The floor of the rotunda, the concrete floor, was covered in some sort of substance which was slippery. So we put a blanket down where the microphone was going to be, so that people didn't slip over. The council neglected to take down the bollards, so we had to manually bring the fencing in ourselves. That was fun. And we just set up. We had 2 layers of fencing like we'd promised the council, and people started arriving. The trans activists initially were over on their side where they'd set up, but then they started coming towards us and sort of standing on the outer fencing area. And we were just letting people in gradually. I was aware that the police were meant to be there at around 8:30. That's what I was told they would be there at around 8:30, and they weren't. I did get introduced to a couple of police officers at one point, but I lost sight of them until much, much later. And the security officers were, they did turn up at about 10.
Sorry, is that police or?
No, that was security guards. We employed security guards. We had 6, one of them being a bodyguard, a specific bodyguard for Kellie-Jay. Terry and the bodyguard went, and there was meant to be a police officer with the bodyguard and Terry going in the car, Terry's car, to go and pick up Kellie-Jay from her hotel. I don't think there was a police officer in the end. I think it was just the bodyguard and Terry. So they'd gone off to do that. I was taking the odd photo, arranging things. I was setting up. I'd asked a lady who had the adult human female t-shirt. I asked the lady to man a little table with all the leaflets and the badges and things like that. And she'd sat herself down there and was doing that. At one point, I was standing at the gates, just beside the marshal, letting the old people through. I went past that little table a little bit later on, and that individual who ended up pouring the tomato juice over us was there. And the other lady was getting up to leave. And I said, "Oh, are you going?" And she said, "Yes, this nice lady here is going to sit at the table and hand out the leaflets." And I looked at this individual, and I had some questions, and I said, something along the lines of, "Are you a supporter, or do you know much about this, or anything like that?"
This is the trans-identified male that poured the juice on. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And it's and this person said in that accent, "I'm just here to learn." Yeah, I mean, I wasn't 100% happy, but there was an awful lot going on. So I thought, okay, you can't go too far wrong with a leaflet. I mean, it's not rocket science. You just hand it out, really. So I went off and did my other stuff, and I'm looking around, wondering where Terry is for a start, and Kellie-Jay. And there's no police. There's never been any police apart from the ones I was introduced to for about 3 seconds. We don't have much in the way of security, because most of the security guards were going to walk Kellie-Jay in. So I think we only had one at one point. And people were coming in the gates. Our people were coming in the gates. And I was looking around. There was a huge amount of noise. There was sirens, the personal sirens sort of thing, music. There were motorcycle revving going on. At that time, I didn't know who that was. There was I can't even remember exactly what noises there were. It was just a huge amount of noise. And I looked around, and it was quite crowded around the rotunda. And next time I looked around, it was just a sea. Well, no, okay. I think what happened was then Kellie-Jay arrived.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I've heard that when someone goes through a really traumatic event like this, that memory can escape you. Memory becomes a funny thing. Yeah.
I think at one point I looked up again, and instead of all the supporters,
oh dear, you've just frozen.
it was just pink and white signs.
For a second there, can you just repeat what you just said? Sorry.
Sure. I did look up once again, and at that,
oh no, bloody internet.
all the supporters, I couldn't see any of our supporters. Am I freezing again?
Yeah, you did for a moment.
Sorry. Yeah, I looked up again, and at that point, all I could see was the pink and white and blue trans flag colours. And I realised at that point we'd been infiltrated completely. I mean, we'd been overtaken, and it was just trans supporters all around us. Kellie-Jay arrived at that time, and the noise had just upped, and it was horrendous. And she came in, and there was a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming and a lot of abuse, along with everything else. And we went in for a hug, and that's when that individual poured tomato juice all over us. And it was like, well, at least it's fresh, it wasn't off or anything. And we just cleaned ourselves off a little bit, and we're just waiting for a few minutes for things to die down a little bit, so that it could at least commence, that she could actually say something. And it took a little while for us to realise that was actually never going to happen. And that's when I started making phone calls to the police, because during this time I'm looking for the police, and I'm calling 111. and the noise is horrendous. And I'm screaming down the phone, I need help. Albert Park, I need help. I know they've got location beacons. I saw that on the phone. And the woman on the other end was very obstructive. She said in a normal voice, I can't hear you. I'm sorry, what did you say? I can't hear you. And I'm screaming, please help, we're getting attacked. We are getting attacked. And she just kept saying, I can't hear you. I rang multiple times, and in the end I left the phone on. I thought, sorry, you know, you can follow up with this call. You're not meant to cut me off. So you can listen to all of this. And at that point, that's when they started coming over the rotunda. So they were just clambering up, clambering up the side of the rotunda, and it was like a zombie apocalypse where they're just, it was like that. And they were coming over, and some twat stuck a microphone in my face and said, do you have a quote? Because they're, snotty. And I said, fuck off, and pushed them away or punched them away or something. And then I screamed fuck off at someone else, and they screamed fuck off back at me. So it didn't really go anywhere. And then there was issues with that high fence that was in the rotunda. They were trying to knock that over. And one of the marshals came over and said, we need to go. And I said, yep. So we all linked arms around Kellie-Jay, including the bodyguard, I think. And we walked down the steps to the pavement. And it was just this surge of humanity. I mean, they just were wanting to harm her, really. And I've seen the footage, and I sort of know what happened, but I have very little memory of it. I know that someone grabbed me around my neck. I know that they scratched down my neck. I know that I've seen the footage where that person who did that was actually replaced. He couldn't get a grasp or something. He was replaced by another guy who sort of tag teamed it, and eventually I got taken down. I got pushed to the ground. There's just feet everywhere. So there was nowhere to stand. There was nowhere to walk. And I start falling. I think I fall on one of the guys, and I really hope I ruptured his spleen or something. But I mean, in response, he's just started punching my back, and there were kicks on my legs. And
all right.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm lying there and I'm thinking, okay, I've got to get up, because if I don't get up, they're going to kick me in the head or something, and things are going to get worse. And somehow I managed to stand up. I'm not sure how. It sort of felt like the wave of all the people and the jostling and everything. It sort of just buoyed me up somehow, but I don't really remember how. And I managed to get up, and I started pushing my way through. At this point, I'd lost Kellie-Jay and the marshals and the bodyguard. They'd managed to get through okay. And I just managed to push my way through. I think I was still getting abused. I think I was still getting hit, but I pushed my way through. And there was, that massive drag queen, massive unit. And I actually walked behind him because I thought, no one can see me coming behind the dude. He was so big. And I started walking out. And on the outskirts, where it appears Terry was sort of more on the outskirts, because she had the ability to sort of argue back to some people. She was dealing with her own stuff, but she wasn't getting physically assaulted. And on the outskirts, it was a lot calmer. And the two cops that I've been introduced to some time before, were standing there, sort of gormlessly looking into space. Really casual. And I just screamed at them, "Where the fuck were you? Where the fuck were you?"
Far out.
And I kept walking, and I got out to the road, and I didn't know where to go. There were people everywhere, and everyone was an enemy at that point. I didn't know what to do or where to go. Kellie-Jay had already gone with all the 12 cops that were waiting on the road 500 meters away, not doing anything. So she'd already gone, and I just, because I felt a bit traumatized, I felt really unsafe. So I started heading towards Terry's car, or where I thought she'd parked her car, but then realised that she would have parked somewhere else because she went to go get Kellie-Jay. And I started panicking a little bit. This guy came out, a trans activist came out, and he had a camera with a little microphone, and he kept asking for a quote, and he kept taunting me with silly stuff like, you'd be pretty if you smiled, or black because it doesn't suit me, or something like that, really dumb stuff. Wasn't quite the time for that sort of fashion advice. And I was just ignoring him, and then he started saying, gosh, you might have to change your flights from tomorrow morning, eh? You might find another way to get home, don't you think? And I thought, I continued to ignore him, but I did think, oh shit, I am going to have to change my flights. So I don't know how I found out about that. And I met up with one of the marshals, and that's when I filmed her little description of what had happened for her. And then she and I both managed to find someone who had a car parked nearby, and they let me sit in their car for a little bit. And then I asked, I was furious. I was absolutely furious. I had to.
Oh, another internet.
And
that internet just dropped out again. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was furious, and I needed to calm down, and I was in shock too.
Yeah.
So I sat in the car for a little bit, and then I asked to be taken back to the hotel because I felt really unsafe. The trans activists were walking down the road at that point, and I was sort of hiding my face a little bit. I'm sure they wouldn't have done anything, but at that time I just felt like very vulnerable. And so I eventually got back to the hotel, and I found another way home. Obviously that flight wasn't going to work for me, so I found other travel arrangements.
So did this trans activist that was taunting you, asking you questions, and said something about your flights, did he actually know your flight number, or no?
No, well, he didn't say that. No.
Okay.
So he knew I'd flown in, and he knew that I was going back the following morning.
Yeah.
Could have been a good guess.
Yeah.
But I don't see it. I mean, I do go to Auckland fairly regularly, but I drive a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. So you're in the car, and then the owner of the car drives you back to the hotel. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Terry sort of described to me what being in that hotel room with you. Do you remember much of it?
I got on the phone and I talked to various people, and I was still absolutely furious, but I was crying as well at times because I was still in shock.
Yeah. Had a shower?
I did.
Yeah.
have a shower, got all that tomato juice off me. Mm. Yeah.
So it sounds like, all up, what that absolute chaos lasted, like 10 minutes?
I think 20 minutes. 20 minutes from the time Kellie-Jay arrived to the time I got into that car, I think.
Right.
I think that's fair to say.
I know this is slightly off topic, but what happened with all the sound equipment that was set up? Like, was anyone able to recover that?
Yes,
Okay.
it was, and I think it's returned. I think there was a little bit of damage, I think, but I'd have to talk to Terry about that because she would have.
Right. Okay. How did you sleep that night?
I don't remember.
And then the next day, you didn't have your car with you because you flew in. So how did you get back? And how long is the drive?
It's well, I got driven down halfway, approximately halfway, by a friend, and some other friends came and picked me up and took me back to Wellington. And we stayed at that halfway point. We stayed at a motel. I think I slept all right, though. I think I had a drink.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then I picked up my car from the airport and went home.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Okay. So I wasn't aware that there were like 2 rows of barriers. I only saw the one in the footage. So they actually blasted their way through 2 rows of barriers.
Yes, so there was the fencing which you would have seen on the outer, and then on the inner there's a 2 meter difference, and the inner fencing was more metal poles with the string around, so it was it wasn't as functional.
Like a cordon.
Yeah, and I think the idea was to have the police in that 2 meter gap.
Yeah.
Which possibly would have been nice if they turned up.
Yeah. So what's your theory around what happened with the police that day? What do you think?
I think that was a total setup. I think they had direction from high to not attend, not do anything about it. My understanding from other people's attempts at calling 111 and speaking to the operator, whether it was the same one or not, I don't know, but they were told various different dismissive things. If you want to go to an event like that, this is what happens, it's on you, that sort of thing. Certainly there was no attempt to actually progress to sending the damn police in. No one was prepared to do that. And the police were approached, again, reportedly, because I wasn't there, I wasn't one of them, except when I screamed at them. Someone approached the police, or a number of people approached the police and said, can you, the ones on the outskirts that weren't doing anything, can you go in? Can you help out here? Can you do something? And they said, nah, not a job. Yeah. Well, actually, fucking is, mate. Fucking is.
Unbelievable. Someone from the Melbourne event, she's a professional photographer, and she finally got around to processing all the photos just last week, and there were less counter protesters here in Melbourne, and we had mounted police on horses. Like, it just blows my mind that New Zealand, Auckland was not able to provide that. Like,
It's not even not able, they just didn't want to.
Yeah.
They refused. I mean, you and I were at that Brisbane little rally that we went to, and the police were great. They knew exactly what they were doing. There were quite a few of them, and they used their bicycles in a really effective way, and they gave appropriate advice.
Yeah.
They didn't escalate anything, and it was managed extremely well. And strangely, I was kind of hoping that the New Zealand police would be on the same level, but no.
So it's been a few weeks since I chatted with Terry about what happened, and at the time, there really wasn't much honesty going on in the media. Has that changed in the last few weeks? Has anything else been covered or reported on?
No. Just this morning, RNZ have put out an article saying that the trans community have received an awful lot of abuse and threats, and they really encourage them to go to the police and make complaints, because it's just not on making threats against people.
It's just
mention of the woman who were assaulted, and there were multiple. It wasn't just that older lady who got badly assaulted. Footage everywhere of that. It wasn't just me. A lot of people were assaulted. Maybe not particularly seriously.
doesn't matter.
I don't know, but
yeah, assault is assault, and it's such a violation, and it leaves you to an extent afraid to go out and do it again.
Yeah.
But you have gone out and done it again.
I have. It was fun. I mean, I think one of the things that I've still got is that anger, and I'm absolutely incandescent with rage around what's happened, and but if I'm going to stop doing anything about it, I know it's affecting all aspects of my life, being involved in this movement. But I'm here to stay. I am not giving up now.
Yeah.
It's not happening. I'm not having it. This is just ridiculous that this is allowed to happen in New Zealand. It's just mind-boggling, really.
It is. So there was a smaller, did you call it Let Women Speak event on yesterday, was it?
No, we didn't. It was just this cute little non-confrontational little rally up in a country town. Some friends and I just went out and we put some signs up, and because it's Easter, so there wasn't a lot of foot traffic, but there was an awful lot of cars going past, and we got a lot of beeps on the horn, and in a positive way, and thumbs up and smiles, and yes, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What about in like day-to-day conversations? I got the impression that just from listening, watching Sean Plunkett, is it, on the platform, that it's actually emboldened New Zealand women to start talking about this more in day-to-day situations. And have you found that at all, or are people talking to you about it who you didn't know where they stood on the issues? Or
no, well, I mean, at work, I'm sort of I've got some issues at work at the moment, and a couple of people aren't really talking to me, so nothing much going on at work, and I'm keeping a fairly low profile socially.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had a huge amount of support. I've had some amazing support. Some of my friends are just incredible. I've had a lack of support too.
Right.
It's not just the media or the police sort of doing the blame the victim thing. I've had a couple of people in my personal life who said probably I shouldn't have been, and that's what happens if you go there.
Outrageous. Makes me so angry. It's interesting to see this week the oh gosh, is her name Riley Gaines, the US what happened to her on campus? They assaulted her, they held her hostage. They were demanding money for her release or something.
It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I couldn't believe it. And the fact that, as far as I know, none of the students involved have been expelled or disciplined in any way. I mean, fucking demanding money, like
It's a crime. It's a crime.
yeah. It is so bizarre that the trans activists' ability to paint themselves as a victim is just like I can't. It really is a dystopian nightmare what's going on. I can't believe it. So Orwellian.
It is. It is. And you know, in that event in Auckland, they came for a fight. They came because they wanted to. They hate us. They hate us, and they've dehumanized us over the years. And they gave themselves permission. I mean, these were men. These were men, and they gave themselves permission to hurt us because they wanted to, and they enjoyed it. I remember their faces. I saw their faces right here as they were punching me. I know that. They enjoyed it. They liked it.
So you weren't, no serious lingering injuries from what happened? No.
No, I think probably it could have been a lot worse. I think probably the fact that there were so many people around, they couldn't get full force in their punching, you know, they're a little bit like Tyrannosaurus Rex or something, you know, a bit like that. So they couldn't get that power behind it and do some real damage. For me, obviously that other lady who got punched in the face, that was brutal.
Well, I saw the Manawahine Korero Twitter account tweeted just in the last few days that a couple of them had gone around and visited her, and she's doing okay. And yes, she's put in a police report. So, you know, fingers crossed. I mean, they got his photo. They know what he looks like, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think in that week afterwards, the organisers, you know, felt strongly about trying to help the marshals, particularly the ones who were getting Kellie-Jay out. So we did set up some trauma debrief counselling.
Right.
And we also, or I also started setting up with Rex. I sort of organised the fundraising for that lady, and also sourced some counselling, and I passed all that information on to the contact person.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helped. Yeah. I mean, the trauma counselling helped me, and I think it helped some of the other people who went. So that was good. and really grateful because that counsellor gave it to us for free, so that was nice.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Wow, good on you. Yeah. Yeah, far out. Sometimes I think about what it must have been like 1,000 years ago when before police forces existed, like just the chaos that must have taken place on the streets, or two clans going into battle. That's what it's like, right? That's why
Mm.
I said when I had Terry on, like, maybe we need to arm ourselves when we go to these events. Like, if
I know, chicken soup or something. That's what I
yeah, or dog food.
think. Yeah, absolutely.
Full on. Okay. Um, is there anything we haven't covered that you would like to mention?
Um, yeah, we're still going to be working towards, trying to
Make change.
make a difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
still doing that. Um, we've got a lot of people, as you sort of said before, we've got a lot of people new to it or concerned about it. We've got these new groups set up. And they've got, and I think in a matter of days, they managed to get like 1,500 people in the Facebook groups, and people from all over society concerned and frustrated and angry and really wanting to do something. In a way, I think this has been a bit of a game changer, like I wanted it to be when I spoke in Brisbane. And I got what I wanted. It's a game changer for New Zealand, and we needed it. And hopefully people understand what we're up against now and help us out.
Yeah. I noticed in the comments on the video I did with Terry, a lot of men saying that they would show up at the next one, that they'd be willing to, form a barrier between the women and the trans activists. So I think that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sad that it has to come to that, but yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, look, I commend you on everything. I think what you went through was terrifying. I've been in some very scary mosh pits back in the day, and I know that feeling of like you have no control over which direction you're moving in, because there's so many people, just you're part of a wave of humans, and so and getting out of a mosh pit like that is, for me, the only way I was able to get out was to ask some dude standing next to me, can you lift me up, and surf to the front.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, well done. I really commend you on your work that day, and on getting back out there yesterday. Good on you.
Yeah.
Stay strong.
It's not over yet.
No, that's it. Thanks so much, Tania.
Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.